The link in the U future is there, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, Izha and Shamil still not there. Okay, I'm recording it. So while waiting, do you have any questions that you want to ask me regarding the area? So our foundation is now talking about the state, right? So do you have any questions on the areas that we covered, that I covered? Can you tell Izha and Shamil to sign in your future? Okay, feedbacks about what we have covered. So the article that is last week, then the area I mentioned about the political system that we have in the world, right? And then to compare and nature of the state, okay, and then what is the nature of the state, right? And then how you define what is state. Any questions that you want to ask? I have no idea about your understanding. Your question would be able for me to trigger my explanation. We do have to wait for the rest to come in order for us to start.
No, sir.
Any
No, sir.
yes, any slide that you are not able to understand. Semua faham? Oh, faham tak payah.
I,
Then we end the
I feel
session.
like
Yes.
it's pretty, what is it called, straightforward, but
Yeah.
there's some yang macam a little bit confusing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel, but not in a way macam ni nak cakap yang the flow yang confusing.
The
The
flow.
flow of, yeah, that to me that is what my confusion is. But it is pretty straightforward, so that's why I feel like the classmate feels like, oh, tak ada question kot. But the flow like foundation of theories macam tu, I'm still kind of blurry dekat sana.
Which one you were talking about?
I am right now at
Slide number?
the slide, after the one that you showed the map, the map, the one,
Mm-hmm. After this.
the colors. There's yeah. So after that, yeah, this one. So how do we want to pinpoint which country is doing what political understanding?
Oh,
Do we
okay.
have to like, yeah, do we have to view it in a way of macam kita tengok tu cara dorang memimpin ke macam tu?
Okay. First, we determine the state, right? The nature of the state. That if you find any state of your liking, if you ask that particular state, say for example, Ghana. Okay. What is the system that is applied by Ghana? I.e., in terms of what type of government that the system that they apply. So here you look at the map and then identify where is Ghana, and then more or less this particular map tries to indicate whether Ghana is in what system. So where is Ghana then? Do you know where is Ghana?
No, sir. I only know what Malaysia and Australia and
Apa
New
pandai
Zealand is.
lah. I mean,
In Canada and Russia, that's it.
okay. Which continent is that?
African continent ke sir?
Huh?
Africa ke?
Asia
African continent
Pacific.
ke sir? Tak tahu.
Tak tahu. Ghana,
Kat area Afrika tu.
Africa. Okay.
Kan ada dekat air kuning-kuning tu ke sir? Brown, is that the one?
Hai.
Dia kena jajah tu sir.
Ghana. Okay, let's look at where Ghana is. Map. Okay. Trinidad and Ghana, Togo, Benin. Yeah. Okay. So this is where Ghana is. It's Africa, West Africa. Here. This is Ghana. So if you were to go back to the screen, so Ghana is, but is it blue or yellow? So this is Ghana, right? So Ghana is blue. What is blue? Blue represent full presidential republics. Yeah. So I lupa dah tak soalan apa Cynthia. Cynthia.
How do we want to see the kind of political understanding they apply to the country?
Because
Contohnya kalau macam UK kan, we can pretty much see it's a monarchy. Like ours pun monarchy macam tu. What about China? What about North Korea, which is what's that? Communism? Is it like that? Do we see it like that? The political understanding or how?
Okay.
The political government.
We are doing this paper, right, to understand the political system and the politics and its relationship with the law. Now, in order for us to understand the law and its relationship with politics, we have to look at the state, right? If countries in the world, if there is no state, then there's no point for us to look at the law. Because if we don't have a state, then obviously there is no law, there is no politics. Or maybe there is politics, but obviously the nature of the law is slightly different from what we have. Say for example, if you're looking at empire, right? We have the situation that we covered. And this one, let's go back. So I've given you example, right? Okay, if we go back earlier, then you will see, say for example, band society. We don't have band society anymore, but we do have a band society within a state. Okay, for example, the orang asli, right? If you go to orang asli, obviously it is considered as a band society, but pure band society is no longer in existence. Except one place. I think there is one place that we can see. Let's go to that place. This is the, oh, sorry.
It's regarding the island in India, right, sir? The one that
no, there is what in the Andaman Sea. There is actually an island.
Yes.
Yeah, the group of people that they resist. Yeah, they resist any kind of social contact with because this is under the domain of India. I can't remember exactly the island name. One of this island is under the control of India, and they resist. Yeah, They resist any contact with the society. Anyone who comes, they will kill. Uh, they have managed to once be in contact, and then they don't want that contact anymore. They just want to be on their own.
So is
So,
it not Sentinel Island?
I really
Not Sentinel Island.
Sentinel Island. That's yeah. I remember the name. Yeah, no, Sentinel Island. So if you look at this, yeah, indigenous people in voluntary isolation. Yeah, they reject and often violently any contact with the outside world. Yeah, North Sentinel Island. So here, if you look at the situation of the political system, is basically previously we are looking at the political system, but now in order for us to really scrutinize the political system, obviously we have to go through the system, right? System, how to determine the system if by looking at the state. Now, any country, as if we can go back to the slide, okay, go back to the slide of countries here. This one is an indication. First thing that we have to do is to identify the state that we want to investigate. You just mentioned about North Korea. So by the by looking at the state itself, we should be able to identify the political system. But in order to identify the political system, we have to understand how state was formed. You know, how come we recognize state as a state? Obviously, the discussion are really given in that topic. The discussion was to identify uh, the society within the state. We look at the territorial within the state, right? A state means something or a place whereby it is governed by a government, government by a specific law. It is being recognized by international community as a state, right? Once we are able to identify that that state is a legitimate and recognized state, therefore we look at the application of the political system within that state itself. So it is I give you the what they call it, the groundwork, yeah, groundwork or the foundation in order for you to go and look at the political system of all the countries in the world. Because number one, we have to identify it exists. Yeah, the state exists. Why we need to identify the state exists? Because if we were to study something, we need to identify whether it exists or not. We cannot study if a thing it doesn't exist. That is a logical sense. If you want to study about law of thoughts, how do you know about law of thought? We have to look at whether it exists or not, being recognized or not. Still remember Bollem, right? Bollem, remember? I'm going to thought right now. Bollem is talking about the ability for a person to claim damages from the doctors for negligence. But if it's not recognized, then there's no point for us to study. Okay. How do you study? Because it is established by the decision of the courts. Okay, only then we are able to say that we have rights. So the same thing with studying politics and law. We have to identify that the state exists. If the state doesn't exist, there is no point for us to study. You know, it's a science. It's just like when you are in your secondary school, you go to science lab. You know, you go to biology class. We need to see things. We need to identify things. So the same thing that we are doing is by defining or identifying the state, then we'll be able to go into the state and identify the political system that they apply, and analyze it, and then we look at the relationship of law. One example, Malaysia. Okay, you think that Malaysia exists? Yeah. How do we know whether Malaysia exists or not? My question to you. Macam mana? I think somebody. Okay, nobody is here. How do you know whether Malaysia exists or not?
The nature of the state, sir. We have a
Nature of the state.
government.
We have a
We
government.
have a distinction of territory. We have a common
Territory,
language.
then
Common
language.
language, yes.
Good, good. So how do we know then? Okay, now we establish the state, right? And we can identify the state by virtue of ability to recognize all these criteria. Now let's study the politics then.
We have constitutional.
Mm-hmm.
We have federal constitution. We have our own constitution. Can we say that?
Yeah, parliamentary constitutional monarchies, right?
Yeah.
It's stated there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Doesn't mean all the blue, all the pink is the same. Okay, all the pink states, right? If you're talking about one country, parliamentary constitutional monarchies, uh, so many countries of pink color, right? So what is the difference between one state, one pink state to the other? So we want to recognize the differences in terms of how we apply things. Now, politics for us, I want to relate, is the ability of the community or the citizens to control the country, right? How the citizen of Malaysia control our country.
We chose our prime minister, and yeah, we chose the one who govern us.
Yes. Does it the same with the state of Saudi Arabia?
No, sir.
No,
Because Saudi
obviously.
Arabia didn't have an absolute monarch.
Yes. So we do have monarch, right? But absolute monarch is different from the monarchy system that we apply. So that talks or that's define everything about the law. Okay, because law is about power, right? Remember chapter 2 or topic 2, law is about power, and it is being controlled by politician. Here, politician means people who are in control of the country. In Saudi Arabia, we have the king. In Malaysia, we have the prime minister. But it is not authoritarian in nature because they are being regulated by separation of power concept. So with the power that they have, obviously it will trickle down to the nature of how they control the society and how the society control them, right? So the law that they apply or the rights that we have is the one that we need to identify how it is being regulated. One example that I want to relate is that recently me and my wife were discussing about just now about past, having interviews conducted on the TV about restricting the rights of people to drink. That is how we, the citizens of Malaysia, feels about people's rights to drink. And it is okay for them to drink, obviously, but when they drink and drive, they have caused people, suffering and things like that. What is our opinion? So the law that is going to be created to regulate that so-called conduct. Obviously, we do have laws pertaining to that. Any stricter or any law that is going to be more strict than before, it is based on what the society wants. Because the politician, they are very much aware that in our political system, if they do not respond correctly to the needs of the society, obviously, when it comes to election, their popularity will go down. And when their popularity goes down, obviously they would not be in a position to be reappointed the next session or the next term. So that is unique to Malaysia because we adopt that kind of control by the society towards the politician as compared to those in Saudi Arabia, just to give you an extreme situation. That is a total, what do you call it, monarchy, right? Absolute monarchy. So their system that they apply is totally different, where the citizens are not in control of the country. Therefore, if you are not in control, whatever the ruler or the monarch in place, if they are a type of tyrant nature, so you just have to live with it. Just like what I have mentioned about Thailand. Okay, they have similarity to what we have, the system of monarchy over there, right? If you can see the color is also pink, right? However, the nature of the system that they have, political system that they have, is very, what they call it, very loose, yeah, in terms of the control that they have. I mean, the monarchy, the influence that they have towards the political system. So it is interesting for us to study each country on how they run things, and how they run things. How, the word is how. It is based on the application of the law. So it is important for us, the student of law, to understand how law is being implemented in all the countries throughout the world. And in order for us to understand that, we have to go to the nature of the state. Without being able to identify the nature of the state, how it is being identified, it is going to be a very difficult task for us to understand the application of the law. For example, recognizing Malaysia to be recognized as an international established country, yeah. What happened to Malaysia when we were a country? Normally will be born and then it will mature and then eventually it will die, like everything else. Malaysia was born in 1957. What happened when we were young? What happened to our country? Feedback? Hmm? What happened to our country? Yeah? Siapa tu? Azfar?
Bila ke bila?
In 1957. We were young. We were just born, Malaysia. What happened to us? Just to look at the law, yeah? We want to understand the law, right? So we look at the state first. And then the question that we want to know is, a state is born. Now, Malaysia is an example. 1957, we were born. So what happened to our country back then? Anis?
A parliament was created
Parliament
and,
created, okay?
and a prime minister is appointed.
Yes, good.
Which is
But
Tunku Abdul Rahman.
the political system at that point of time, was it peaceful?
I think it was peaceful because there was like ada perjanjian kan between MCA, MIC and UMNO.
Yeah,
It
but
was
as a
peaceful.
state, that is the internal. We are talking as a state. The position of Malaysia itself, what happened?
Ada komunis lagi ke? Macam like time tu
Salma?
komunis still lagi berkuasa.
Pardon?
Komunis still lagi berkuasa kat lautan semua tu. So
Okay,
like,
communist, right? So the insurgent, in terms of the communist insurgent, that is one thing that we face. What about international countries? That is internal problem. How do we settle the internal problem? Is by doing things. What things that we do in order for us to fight the insurgents? As a state, we have to maintain our territory, right? Betul tak? The definition of the state. Yeah, Daniel?
We make diplomatic relation with other country,
Kenapa
especially.
you punya suara tak dengar? Kuat sikit.
Hello?
Yeah, okay, good.
We make diplomatic punya relation with other
Okay, good.
countries.
Right. Which country that wants to fight us?
Or that want to fight us, of course. The confrontation with Indonesia.
We have
Philippines.
confrontation with Indonesia, right?
Philippines
When
also.
when a state is young, normally it will come to some kind of a problem, yeah, that is being identified by the neighbors. Yeah, we have the Malaysian situation. What happened to Malaysia when we have confrontation with the Indonesia? Did we do anything to respond to it?
In term of defense, kita tubuhkan pasukan khas, sir. But in terms of
Very good.
law,
Very good. Yeah. So kalau you nak tubuhkan sesuatu, can you just tubuhkan just like that? Cannot, right? You have to have law. Yeah. You have to have some authority or power given to somebody in order for them to be able to generate or create an institution, yeah, a legal institution in order for them to act upon. And as what you said just now, Azfar, is the special military, yeah, that we want to fight this insurgent, because obviously that is the one that we know of, yeah. But those in terms of intelligence, yeah, the creation. So whenever you have an action, yeah, towards the country, obviously we are going to have a reaction towards that. And the reaction would be involving the political will of the nation and also the implementation of new laws or new powers that is given to somebody. Other than that, insurgent, how do you tackle insurgent? The communists. What was the action of the government? Remember, we are still young. We are trying to survive. Okay, everyone wants to test us. Remember when people want to attack us because they want our wealth, you know? Country is rich. Every country is rich. Yeah. Anis?
Sir,
Yes. Wafa.
they're from Malaysia and they make ISA law.
ISA law, all right, good. And then what was the movement that the government, in order for the government to safeguard the societies that is living in the kampungs area?
Emergency ke?
Apa jadi kat dia? Pardon? Sama? Insurgent?
Emergency ke, sir? Emergency.
Emergency is what? Yeah, we declared the emergency. What nature or specific nature example that you can identify? Sampai sekarang kita ada. And in fact, the institution that we established survive until today, and those people within the institution are they become millionaire overnight. What is the institution that you can think of, Azma?
saya tak dapat sebenarnya apa yang
Apa yang okay. During the communist insurgents, yeah. So we have a problem, right? We come up with laws, and that law has to be applied, you know. And my question is how? Give me one example that the law that we create that has been applied, and therefore the application of it, we have the example of the institution that we create until today. Remember those in the kampung area, right? because obviously the communists would like to attack those people at the kampung area. What do we do in order to protect those citizens? This is about the state, yeah, the ability for us to control. Yeah, Nurul. Macam mana kita protect kita punya citizen? If you are a state, you are unable to protect your citizen, then there is no state. There is no point for us to investigate the political and the relationship with law. Apa institution yang kita nampak sekarang? They become millionaire. Tak boleh bagi. Asma?
Tak tahu saya.
Felda. Boleh nampak Felda? Felda dia origins dekat mana? The origins of Felda is because those people yang duduk dekat kampung-kampung, right? They have to be protected by the government, right? Why they are to be protected? Because of the communism, the communists, right? The ideology. So in order to protect them physically and mentally, you know, you have to like protect them. How do the government protect? Yeah, so they put it in concentrated concentrated kampungs, yeah, and then they bought wired and then put the army there to safeguard the society. Then later on, it is a structure that is adopted, and in order, yeah, this is Tun Abdul Razak time, so they created Felda, and eventually Felda becomes a very powerful institution, and those within the Felda, the what they call it, those people who open up lands, they were, now they are considered as millionaires because the land is being bought over, or they become the member of the share of Felda, right? When it goes public. Okay, boleh nampak? So you can see the political will of the society back then, and how the government enacted or translate that political will of the society into law, and then we can see the existence of the law, the effect of the law until today. So that is how we analyze things. Okay, we analyze the law is based by virtue of the political method that being applied dalam state, and the political will is based on what the society wants. Okay, and what the society wants, it is depending on what type of state. If again we look at the nature of Thailand, if you have, siapa yang dah pernah pergi Thailand? Siapa yang dah pernah pergi Thailand?
Unfortunately, no, sir.
Cynthia?
No.
Hey guys,
Sampai border je.
sampai border. Okay, sama. Kalau sampai border, apa yang nampak on the other side?
Bendera.
Ha?
Dengar radio sir. Radio dia ada.
Okay, dengar radio is one thing that we can identify in terms of a state. How do you recognize a state? Because the language that they use. Okay, everyone, irrespective whether they are whatever religion, they have their own name. Yeah, they have their own name of a Thai name. If you're a Muslim in southern Thailand, you have your Thai name that is given to you. Recently, not recently, I think 2 years ago, I was sitting in a restaurant. No, what, it's not restaurant. Apa dia panggil? The family mart that you have, family mart. So I was eating in family mart, and then there's a few Chinese that comes into family mart, and they were sitting and eating And surprisingly, they were talking in Bahasa Indonesia, right? So I was surprised. They were Chinese, you know. They are studying in INTI college in what they call it, Subang, right? So I stopped them. I said, excuse me, I have to ask you a question. Uh, you are a Chinese, right? You are all Chinese. Yeah, they say, yeah, we are Chinese. And then why you are talking Bahasa, Bahasa Indonesia, although you know the difference between Bahasa Melayu and Bahasa Indonesia, right? So they are comfortable, making jokes, and then it is not being forced because they are outside Malaysia, but still they utilize that kind of interaction, Bahasa Indonesia. And they told me that they are comfortable using that language, though they are Chinese. They know how to speak Mandarin or Cantonese or whatever language that some ethnics belongs to. But yeah, Bahasa Indonesia for them, because they were in school and they utilize the language and they feel comfortable with it. So language itself can be a method for us to determine the existence of the state, and that language is being implemented by virtue of law. You cannot implement language without the application of law. Okay, guys. uh, I think what you can carry, because time is about to. You have another class, right? So we continue the discussion later about you have to read the document, yeah, and trying to get something out of that. What you have to get now is that in order for us to study politics, in order for us to understand the law of the land, we have to study the state. And to study state, it is not easy because state, there is no clear definition of a state, right? But it is interesting for us to study the state, because once we identify the things that happen in the state, then we can reflect it to the nature of politics and obviously the law that is being applied. Okay. Yeah, I think that that's it for the discussion. You formulate the questions, and then we will continue the discussion during our tutorial. Boleh?
Alright, sir. Boleh.
Boleh, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, please, you have to write your question down in order for us to properly discuss this. Okay. Right.
Saya
Thank you
Boleh,
post.
so
sir.
much. Thank you so much for coming.
Saya
Thank you,
post.
sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Stay safe,
Take
sir.
care. Have a good lunch.
Thank you, sir.
See you
Thank
later,
you.
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Yeah. It's recorded, so I'm going to give the link later on.
Alright.
All right. Everyone must leave in order for the record to stop.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Siti. Eileen, you're still here?